Is that a song?
I don't know. I think so.
You were just riffing.
If not, I think I just created magic almost as good as Pontoon.
We go and we get you a guitar yesterday, and now all of a sudden you're rapping and a songwriter.
I'm making fucking magic that will be listened to all summer long.
Oral magic.
Nonstop.
Oral magic. And speaking of oral magic, here we are, the Loyal Sons podcast. And greetings to all of you lovely folks who have chosen to listen into us in this week's episode. My voice is so deep because my throat's killing me right now. I literally sound like a... And thank you for listening in on their afternoon jazz drive home.
Corn futures are up. Soybean futures are down.
And so welcome to the show, everybody. We are the Loyal Sons of the Midwest, the great state of Iowa, Cyclones, Hawkeyes, and Huskers, which we're going to be talking pretty in depth on today, even though there's really no sports going on other than the spring games. But we are also the Loyal Sons of the Big 12. And for those of you wanting to follow us a little further, we are on TikTok. We are on X, which is, again, I've said this a million times. I got to get better at updating that thing. And on Facebook. And for your listening pleasure, we are on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and YouTube. So give us a look. And then, Brett, what should they do when they get there?
They should smash that like button and share with everyone.
Absolutely. Smash it. All right. Well, what's been going on with your weekend?
Oh, not much. Had some nasty weather roll through.
I saw that shit. I didn't get a drop of rain here in Grapevine yesterday, and I saw that cars were literally underwater because the streets flooded in downtown Fort Worth so much.
Yeah. We got home from, what was that, the Tower Tap House over in Little Elm, which was freaking awesome. And I was getting ready to go to bed, and I just turned on the TV, and old Pete Delkus was on there, and they were showing the radar. They're like, yeah, if you're in this area, take cover.
Good old Pete. I can never remember if it's him or it's one of the weather guys down here is actually a Iowa Hawkeye diehard fan. I think they're originally from Eastern Iowa.
Okay. I don't think it's Pete.
Anywho, I actually thought it was AI. It popped up on my social media showing said this is West 7th Street in Fort Worth, and it shows a car, and literally about this much of the top of the car is above water.
Oh yeah.
And I was like, this is one of those bullshit things where they took a video of some flood that took place over in Taiwan
and then trying to claim it. Yeah,
no, it didn't even rain here.
We were driving back from Dallas, and you're like, seems like some nasty weather. I was like, well, if the cap stays, we're good. Spitting my meteorology game.
You were spitting some serious game, man.
And
I don't know what this cap means, but okay.
I don't either.
The most weather savvy I ever got was the heat dome that we had down here.
I think the heat dome and the cap are the same thing.
Are they?
And then there's Sahara dust.
Oh yes, I do remember that. That was when it was if it didn't matter what direction you looked, it was just reddish orange sky and just kind of weird. Anywho, so some rough weather rolled through. Yeah, we went to a hell of a cool place last night and watched the Stars lose their overtime game, the playoff game, and then had an interesting conversation about how the NHL playoffs make zero sense as far as the seeding.
I was thinking you were talking about the guy from Minnesota.
Oh, the nice gent from Minnesota that decided to start just without even saying hello, nice to meet you, what's your name, my name is this, just started spitting politics. What the hell, man? Holy God.
I get it, you're excited you moved to Texas, guy, but come on.
Dude, yeah. And it's we're all aware of each state's variation. Not every state, but, Minnesota's been in the news a lot, and anybody who is not aware of the differences between Minnesota and other states on their majority political views up there, you kind of had your head in the sand. And you know what? So what, dude? It's everybody's different.
Yeah.
It's I can't believe that they get away with doing this and doing that and doing this. And I'm like, dude, you live here now. Get over it.
Yeah. I wanted to sit there and be like, hey, dude, shut up and let your girlfriend that played college hockey, explain hockey to most of the people in the bar, because most people probably didn't know.
Yeah, I was actually shocked as we're sitting there, and Minnesota hits that overtime goal to win, and all of a sudden, a group in front of us starts cheering and high-fiving, and I'm like, "What the hell are they?" And then, yeah, they all were all from Minnesota.
I'm just glad they didn't do that stupid ass goal clap that the Vikings fans do. Like, they look
They
so
were doing
stupid and they have no rrhythm. They're all out of sync. Like, they're
I
just morons.
I worked with a guy, that was in Chicago. He was a diehard Vikings fan. He's originally from Minnesota. I sent him a message one day. I did not know of this skull thing, dude. I'd been watching the NFL since I'm like 6, 7 years old, right? But I guess I had just never really closely interacted with a Vikings fan. He texts in the skull, and the text he sends back to me is hashtag skull, and I'm like, "You dip too?"
You're chewing now?
I didn't know what he was talking about. Speaking of that, the draft.
Yes.
Yeah, the draft is we're not going to go in depth on the draft. It is what it is. There were some interesting pickups by some teams. It was great to see Indiana have 5 guys, 5 or
Oh, yeah.
6, maybe. They might have had more. It was 5 yesterday, earlier in the day, I should say. And then how many did Iowa have?
Iowa, I think, had 6. I was really, really surprised, especially like they couldn't even beat Iowa State. So
Yeah.
like maybe the team's like, hey, let's like draft some JV players. I don't know.
Well, technically, they couldn't beat Penn State. No.
Well, that's true.
Yeah, now that entire offensive line deserves to go to the NFL. I mean, they won the I can't remember what the name of the trophy is, but they won the award for best offensive line in the nation last year. I think quite a few of those, 2 or well, 3, I think, of those guys were projected to go. There was actually, I heard a few people saying they thought Gronowski was going to get drafted. There's a few teams that were kind of eyeballing him.
Really? I guess
Yep.
though, if it was Gronowski and Pavia,
Or
I would take Gronowski
I'd take
100% of the
Gronowski
time.
100%, dude. And I mean, if you want somebody who's just got grit and heart and gonna work their ass off, like you're getting the exact opposite of Diego Pavia there.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Like a
I mean,
good human being.
I will say this: when the guy's on the field, when Pavia is on the field, he does play his ass off. But that's only a small factor. But yeah, I was, I hate saying this because it's a college, they're professional athletes anymore.
Yeah.
But the fact that he went undrafted and as of 4:30 in the afternoon on the 26th, he has not been signed to a free agent contract. It was due. Like,
Oh yeah.
you got what was coming, buddy.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Like the bad thing is he's probably gonna go to the UFL and
Yeah.
he'll be hanging out in Dallas, so that'll be a bloody
Yeah.
nightmare.
He'll be on social media talking shit about, and apparently he made his statement about how I got, and I'm going to use my own words, I got jobbed in the Heisman voting, and then I turned around and I got jobbed again in the draft. It's like he thinks that everybody's out to get him. It's like, dude, you did this to yourself.
Like a chip on your shoulder is good to a certain point, but man, you're missing your whole shoulder.
You can't dog on St. Fernando and just walk away from it, right?
No, no.
Anybody that talks shit about that guy should be struck down by lightning.
No, and then Big Citrus. That's probably my favorite nickname of any Iowa State player, Big Citrus.
Big Dom Orange.
Unfortunately, he's going to the Vikings. He's got to hear
He
the.
is. I mean, that's not going to bother him as much as JJ McCarthy's D-bag ass.
I don't know.
He's on the defensive side, so he may not have to deal with him.
I don't know. Both are really annoying.
Yeah, I know. But I mean, I'm a Chiefs fan, so everybody thinks my team is annoying.
Yeah, but the tomahawk chop, that thing is awesome. The we're gonna beat the shit out of you. Like that's one of my favorite like football game chants.
There's a lot of characteristics or factors of the traits of the Arrowhead environment that are very classic and are things that take you back to when you were a little kid. But those of, sadly, I realized this when I was up there for the Colts Chiefs game last year. A lot of that stuff has been overshadowed by, Taylor Swift's presence. And, we've got Patrick Mahomes on the field. We've got Travis Kelce out there. And it's like Chiefs fan base just isn't the same. But,
Not a bad thing.
yeah, that's why this year, like I said, until this weekend, I paid no attention to who they were even drafting. I was awesome to see they took Emmett Johnson, man. Like,
Yeah. I
how
can't believe he
the
dropped that far.
insane, dude. Like, and I could be way off, but he was at a couple of points last year. I want to say he was leading the nation in rushing,
I think
or at
so.
least the Big Ten. I want to say the nation though for a couple weeks.
He's up there.
Yeah, the dude's a freaking gamer. He works his ass off. Like, Um, yeah, you know, I've got my own issues with the Chiefs right now that have a member of the team that's still on the roster that if they don't get rid of him, I can't morally support them. Getting too bought in on excitement for this upcoming season, but Emmett Johnson being on the team, that was one of those where like, I mean, dude, they just brought in the Seahawks running back.
Yeah.
And like, forgive me, I'm kind of in a brain fog right now. It's like my sinuses are going
Was it
crazy. I can't
Walker?
remember. Walker, yes, the dude that came from Michigan State. They've got him, and then they go and they draft this guy. Or they go and draft Emmett, and it's like you have to wonder what are Kareem Hunt and Isaiah Pachenko thinking right now.
I'd better like focus up. Like
Ew. The Packers, how did you just? I guess before we move on, how did you feel overall about the Packers draft? I know you say every year they do the same thing.
the draft doesn't matter.
It doesn't. You don't
Like
win.
it's funny being down here and everyone's talking about the Cowboys and making the big deals about who they're gonna pick. And I'm just like,
You guys do this to
they're gonna
yourselves every year.
the Packers are gonna pick players. They're gonna grab some wide receiver from some MAC school that's gonna be really good. Like they just it's so boring.
That's
And they always
you
pick
hit it
late.
right on the head too. It's gonna be some max school receiver that all of a sudden is gonna be a hot commodity in the NFL.
Yeah. Yeah. They're like defense until like the third or fourth round. Then it's like, oh, three stud wide receivers that no one's ever heard of.
Yeah, but yet for some reason, when they're playing in Lambeau, they can fucking run all over anybody.
Well, the good thing is there's nothing to do in Green Bay. So all they
True.
have to do is like practice and hone their skills.
I don't know, man. It's always crazy how it works out, how people's skill sets transition to the next level. It's like I remember a guy with the last name of Bo Richter from Hastings, Nebraska. He played at Hastings College that somehow found a spot on the Chiefs roster for like 2 years. And that was the years they had Trent Green, Priest Holmes, Tony Gonzalez, Dante Hall, just slinging the ball right and left. And he was one of their best slot receivers. And he was in the
Mhm.
NFL for like 2, maybe 3 years. And last I knew, and then he just vanished. And last I knew, he's back in Hastings farming.
Yeah. I got his farm
Just-
paid off. And
yeah, it's like I don't know where he's like, I think I'm gonna go play football.
well, the crop's in. I'm going to go try this football thing.
And you got these guys who are in college for 9 years that they go to the draft, and all the owners are like, no.
Yeah. No.
Well, move into our the teams that are near and dear to our hearts: the Iowa State, Nebraska, and Iowa. Well, actually, before we get into that, let's start off with on a bright note. Iowa State now has women's wrestling, and
Nice.
I'm not saying this to you, Brett, because I know you were already aware. But how
Well,
exciting is that?
I love it. Like it's just another opportunity. It's just cool because like obviously I've got a lot of friends still up in Iowa,
Hmm?
and we're all at the age where now our kids are starting to get into high school and stuff,
Yep.
and you're starting to see like the people that are pretty good wrestlers. It's kind of in their blood, and it's proven. Like their daughters and their sons are kicking ass, and now like the daughters have this opportunity to be able to go to Iowa State and more schools to continue that passion.
Yep. 100%. And there's a couple things on a positive note from this. The fact that there are a lot of girls that are in, middle school, shoot, probably elementary school, high school, obviously on top of high school, I should say, that are very excited about this. I mean, that's just another Division I opportunity for them in the state. Iowa being a very big wrestling state, and I'm really anxious to or really eager to see, really how this helps like the state progress and growing more schools. Having I know my high school or my alma mater, they combined with a neighboring town and they have their girls wrestling team. And I was talking with my father about this last week. Father, my dad. I don't know why I would never call him my father.
I was gonna say, are you guys fighting?
You're my father. But he was telling me, and I forget some of the names. Like I try to keep track of all the people from my past and anything like that. But obviously we're getting up there, and some of them are slipping out. And he brought up a girl by the name of Molly Allen, I believe it was her name, and it rang a bell, but couldn't quite remember. And he goes, "Well, she wrestled at Oakland Riverside in their girls wrestling team, and she now wrestles for the University of Oklahoma."
Nice.
Yeah, and she's doing really well. I mean, she was just an absolute badass in girls wrestling. I want to, if somebody listens to this, they might check. I want to say she was the girl that went to state in the men's bracket, in the men's tournament before they had women's wrestling in Iowa.
Damn.
Yeah, she was badass. But the other thing, like you said, you have friends that are still up there. Our friends, just like you, like a lot of my friends have kids, and this is something that is another option for you know our friends that have daughters. And the thing that makes me smile about this is what it's like, especially in small town Iowa, when you got a guy that he wrestled in high school, he was very passionate about it, he was very proud of it. And then the guy he and his wife just kept trying and trying and trying, but yet you see him walk into the school and he's got an army of adorable daughters, obviously, in most cases, and he's very proud of them.
Yeah.
But man, it would sure be nice if I just had one son to wrestle. Well, now that's cured. So not only are these girls getting this opportunity, and this is opening doors for them, but there's a lot of dads in Iowa right now that got a lot of ladies in their house, a lot of young ladies in their house, I should say. I want to say this in a way that can't be skewered, but that they're goddamn happy.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. Well, and it's your kid. Like you want them to have every opportunity, and this is another one. It's great.
Yep. Now I wonder how many girls are like between 7 and 10. Their dads are going, "What do you think about wrestling?" Huh?
Well, they could also talk about golf. Like
Yeah.
Iowa State's women, they just won the Big 12 title, the first one in
Hell
women's
yeah,
golf.
man. Yeah.
I
I
wish
didn't
I
know.
would have been paying attention to it
Dude,
because
I had no idea what was going on.
they actually had it down here at the Dallas Athletics Club.
No shit.
And I was like, how great would that have been if we went to the Dallas Athletic Club with like a cooler of beer and just cheered on the Iowa State golf team?
Every time they sink a putt, we start blaring the siren from our phones.
Yeah. And then like you could wear that shirt that says guns don't kill people, I do from Happy Gilmore.
Well, I don't know if we want them to disassociate with us.
Hey, the
Excuse me.
women's gymnastics team embraced us. I could only imagine the women's golf team would too.
It's like when Ricky Fowler's freaking ball hit me in St. Louis when he teed off, and somebody goes, it's a guy standing next to me goes, "I'll give you $20 to say your ball struck my foot" when he walks up. Like, I'm not saying that to Ricky Fowler.
You might have been able to take him.
I
He's
mean,
he's wiry.
yeah, you never know. Those golfers can be scrappy.
Yeah.
But yeah, so women's wrestling. I feel like there was something else that was on a positive, and I can't remember. But yeah, spring games went on this weekend. And that's the thing is I was talking to you about before we started recording, and this is anybody who's listening, I want them to hear this. But Brett and I were having a conversation about how it's some of it's due to NIL, some of it's just due to the times changing, and also to especially for schools like Iowa State, you want to avoid injury, unnecessary injury. Which by watching some of the clips of their practices recently, I don't think Jimmy's really being too cautious about that. But
Which is a good thing.
they are fucking hitting hard, dude. And anyways, they call these spring practices now. And like Brett, what I was telling you is and I can't remember the last time I was up in Ames. I remember a couple guys I played in high school with back in Logan. One of them played at Simpson, and another one played at Buena Vista. And then we had another buddy of ours that played in high school with us. And we went up there, and I remember being out in the parking lot, just like we were tailgating. Passing the pigskin around. Cooler of beer. People are grilling and everything. And we went in and sat through probably a 2 hour, 3 hour scrimmage
Yeah.
essentially. And they don't even do that anymore, man. The stadium, like I mean, I didn't get to watch it, but it just looked to me like everybody's kind of out in just a big cluster on the field, and they just kind of ran drills.
It's
Some of
all,
them were cool,
it's all
but
Michigan's fault
Michigan. And now, why do you say that?
because it would give Michigan another chance to steal the signs and, do that shady stuff that they're known to do.
Okay. Okay. I can maybe see. I don't think Jimmy Rogers is too worried about sign stealing. Maybe some other schools are though. I can see Matt Rule being paranoid about it.
Yeah, but it happens.
So, with that, I was gonna say that they did do this is why I say Jimmy's not really too concerned about injury, because this drill they did, um, is called Midnight Alley. When they asked Zamir Hawk, who's one of the guys that did stay with us after Campbell left, he was, he's a truly a great talent on the defensive line, and we were lucky to keep him. Let's put it that way. and they were asking because they were hitting fucking hard, man. It's like a more intense version of like the Oklahoma drill in a way, is what it looked like. I don't think they're not laying on their backs or anything like that. It's just like head to head combat straight at each other. You'll
Okay.
have to look it up. You'll have to look it up. But Zamir Hawk wasn't minding his P's and Q's when they were interviewing him. And when they asked him how he felt about it or what the drill is really about, he said Midnight Alley is who's got the biggest nuts.
Well, one of the things, what was it? Was it the 2020 Big 12 championship game we went to down here when they played
Yeah, the
Oklahoma?
COVID year.
Yeah. Like one of the things I remember from that season and like see a couple seasons before is
Those boys played hard.
if you watched an Iowa State game, you were going to see some hits. And if
Mhm,
they lost, you knew the other team was going to fill it.
mhm.
And then after
Yeah.
that 2020 game, never had that feeling of where they're just going to lay some wood and make you remember them.
It is and it's one of those where I know exactly what you're talking about. We've discussed it before where it does, you get a vibe of like the team over like the last couple of seasons was kind of, even the one that made the Big 12 championship game versus Arizona State, there was flashes of what you would see as like toughness throughout the season. Now, this is not for all players. You can't take 1 ounce of toughness away from a Ben Brammer.
No,
He's the
dude
toughest
died
son
on
of
the
a bitch.
field and then came back
Yeah.
and scored a touchdown against TCU.
And then Jaquez, who, poor guy, freaking went out with a busted knee last year. Like, he was one of the hardest hitting defensive backs we've had in a while. And Cooper, too. Cooper wasn't as hard hitting. But yeah, the overall, it was, and we don't know how banged up those guys are when they walk off the field. And
Oh,
that's what's tough for any college football fan is like, I'm guilty of it too. Like, played like a bunch of friggin' pansies today. You guys didn't even know, no heart, no nothing. Did you have no idea if those guys are sitting in the locker room just going, shit, I'm fucking exhausted.
well, yeah, and I hurt my back getting out of bed, and I whine walking down the stairs.
But comparing them to previous years, there was a level of just edginess that was not there, it felt like.
Yeah,
And some of it was the fact that the offense couldn't produce probably. Fuck, I don't know. And then the defense was half of them were there. Shit, we were down to what, 5 remaining starters or whatever it was.
yeah.
They just kind of, yeah. I mean, who knows? Maybe they'll get to Penn State and that life will come back into those guys. This group that Jimmy has named, nobody that's a realist is expecting us to be a college football playoff contender or even a Big 12 championship game contender. But the games are going to be freaking awesome to watch, I think. Like
Good.
they're gonna be playing hard. They're gonna be playing fast. Now, yeah, the spring game, that's the thing. And that's why I didn't want to go overly in depth on that, so I talked more than I should have. But yeah, back to the spring games being different. It's hard to tell, really. And I mean, for our 3 schools specifically, Nebraska, Iowa, and Iowa State, nobody knows what the hell they're going to look like. And I listened to multiple podcasts. I looked at multiple YouTube channels where people are, like Hawkeye Insider and like, Husker this and Husker that to see if I could get a solid summary of these spring games, what stood out. The main takeaway I got from Iowa was that there's a quarterback duel. And one site said that there was a lot of incomplete passes, but it was
It's
weird that
Iowa. That's what the duel is about. Who can throw the most incomplete passes?
yeah, and this was the same site. They said really not much has changed offensively from the previous season, which
Or
okay.
the previous decade or
I mean, they
two.
still won 10 games last year, right? So I mean, it's like if as long as the defense is there, I mean that's what Iowa prides themselves on, anyways. But it sounds like their secondary is supposed to be pretty freaking stellar, and they had a kicking duel. I heard,
Ooh.
which well, yeah,
Punting
intense news.
or
You
an
know,
actual like scoring kicker.
In Iowa City, that's news. I don't know. I didn't actually. I think they would have called it a punter if it was a punting battle.
They've got a kicker that can score. That's like
Well, now not since what?
leaps and bounds for like their program.
Yeah, I mean, not since what? Nate Kading.
Yeah. Like,
Yeah, what a freaking badass that guy was. But yeah, they've had there's some bright spots there. I'm not gonna say the quarterback duel was. They weren't saying it was horrible, like not going back to 2 or 3 years ago, how bad that was. Which again, they said my brain fog. I'm drawing a blank on the freaking dude's name that came from Michigan that they got busted cheating for.
I was to say JJ McCarthy, but I know
It
that's
was
wrong.
that's what I was gonna say too.
McNamara. was it?
Yeah, McNamara. Yeah, I mean, that was around the last time that they just passing was not happening. Shit, even when they played Iowa State, like that was probably the least nerve. I don't even know if we won those years, but I just wasn't nervous when we got down. They got down inside the red zone and he had to throw. And yeah, it's I don't think they're that bad or they're not in that tough of a spot. I think Gronowski left them in a good place. They got Hank, the guy from Auburn, there, and they got a couple other guys. So we'll see, man. They're probably going to beat us.
Save that for our predictions, our way too early
We will.
predictions.
We'll get into those. We'll get into those. But then the Nebraska spring game, very much the same vibe. I think that Nebraska ran more of an actual kind of formatted game than either of the other Iowa State and Iowa. But yeah, they also have a quarterback duel on their hands. And it sounds to me like the receiver is kind of like their mainly their questionable spot right now. That's what I was reading in the reviews. Defense, I read 3 different articles, 3 completely different views on the defense.
Really?
Oh, yeah. One of them was like, "Their secondary is gonna be rock solid." Another one was like, "Their secondary is gonna be quite weak and might struggle with Big Ten offenses." I'm like, "You guys need to talk to each other, man."
Yeah, we're
But, yeah, I guess, Rayner going back to Ames. So, I mean, we'll see with Nebraska. They lost a lot for good reasons. They lost to one of the best running backs in the Big Ten to the Chiefs. And then, Gronowski, he just ran out of time. I mean, their offensive line was so damn good that 3 of them, or I think 3 of them went to the draft. But yeah, man, their entire team, it's just crazy because how they started the year off, how damn talented that team actually was.
oh yeah. Oh yeah.
But yeah, going back to Ames really quick, one thing I forgot to add was that Jalen Rayner, his first name is Jalen, right? Jalen Rayner?
I have no
God,
idea.
how terrible are we? All I
Again,
know is
people aren't listening to us for our
it's
deep
James. Yeah, it is.
takes.
I'm right. But yeah, he apparently struggled the first couple drives they had him in, and then out of nowhere he launched like a 78-yard pass. But strangely, they said his number one competition in their little spring fling or whatever they called it yesterday, Zane Flores, the guy from Oklahoma State that was only playing because they ran out of quarterbacks last year, from Gretna, Nebraska.
Okay.
Yeah, interesting,
That's
right?
either good that he's improved or bad that our starting quarterback is not good.
I don't know if I would call it good due to the fact that we've got a guy literally on our roster that, again, fucking, I hate myself right now. I can't even remember his name. It was behind Rocco, and also he was our third string last year. Damn good scram like dual threat quarterback, but yeah. So this guy that is only getting to start for Oklahoma State because they didn't have anybody else to throw the ball, and he was not good.
No, no.
And I watched a lot of their games last year, and I felt bad for him because I'm like, dude, I can tell you don't want to be out there. I think he is actually in line ahead of, all right, here we go. Connor Moberly.
Okay.
Yeah. And ironically, I think probably the most time he saw in the field, I think, was when we were beating the shit out of somebody. I think we put in every quarterback on the roster just so he didn't run up the score. But anyways, Connor's got talent. He's able to run. He can throw the ball. Hasn't seen much field time. But anyways, enough on that. It is what it is. Nobody knows a damn thing about what's going to happen, and we'll just have to let the games play out. But I think it'll be exciting. I do know Matt Rule had to light up some media person at one of their press conference because apparently he keeps getting asked a question about the toughness of their schedule and it's annoying him.
Okay.
Something about I don't know if they're like insinuating that Nebraska's getting screwed by their schedule or what, or that Nebraska's at a disadvantage because of their schedule, but he just said, "Listen, the games get scheduled for us. Like we just go out there and play them. You got to play who shows up. Doesn't you can sit around and he essentially, and like I said, in my own words in a summary, he essentially said, you can sit around and bitch about it all you want, but you got to play the games. And you know what?
Play the hand you're dealt.
When we're playing these elite teams, he said we're showing that these guys that are coming here that are considering coming here. We're saying we're playing these top teams, and we want you here so we can compete with them. And he's like, that's a good thing. It's like, okay, well, you mean you don't share in the SEC mindset, eh? Oh yeah,
Well,
we want you to come here and watch us beat Whistle Dick State 7-3.
and though the back half of their schedule, Indiana, Oregon, Washington, Illinois is never bad. got Rutgers, and then Ohio State, and like they're like Bane, Iowa. That's a tough
Yeah.
back half of the schedule.
In Illinois, Illinois has had some rough years, but at the same, not as recently. They've been that team that can beat anybody in the Big Ten on a given day, and I think they finished in the top 25 last year. But yeah, so that's the exercise we're going to go through right now.
Yes.
So Brett and I are going to do our way too early win-loss predictions for each team. We're going to go through the schedules a little bit and talk about which ones we think they'll win or lose.
Okay.
We won't take a ton of time.
Yeah, we can do rapid fire. Like one,
Yeah.
I did zero research, and I'm just gonna pull it out of my ass anyway.
That's exactly why I waited until like an hour before we recorded to tell you.
Well, one, you could have told me 2 weeks ago. I still probably wouldn't have done the research.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Well, let's start off. Let's start off with Iowa. Now, I'm going to admit something. This, like I said, I've been wanting to do this for a while, but I'm going to give credit where credit's due. I'm totally doing this weekend because I was listening to the two guys' podcast on Iowa Everywhere, and Hassel and Williams did theirs for Iowa and Iowa State.
Okay.
I was very surprised on how humble Chris Hassel was. He's a diehard Hawkeye fan, and he was kind of skeptical on him.
Really?
Yeah, so let's start out with Iowa and the non-conference. Northern Illinois, going to be a win.
Definitely a W.
I mean, Northern Illinois did go into Notre Dame and knock them off a few years ago, but Iowa and Iowa State, we're going to probably differ in opinion on here.
I'm going to say that's a win for Iowa.
Oh, well, I'm going to as well.
Okay.
Yeah, it's at Kinnick on top of it, but I have never experienced taking an entire team of guys, an entire team of players into one of the toughest stadiums it is one of the top 25 toughest stadiums to play in for an opposing team. And every single one of those guys, well, not every single, a large majority of your team has never played in a Division I stadium.
Yeah.
And the ones that have were playing at
Washington State,
mid-major schools, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and Washington State was essentially the same as a mid-major. Yeah, so I think it could be one of those where we turn off at half. Then Iowa, this is where Iowa, they have one more game before they get into a hell stretch. They've got Northern Iowa coming to Iowa City. And this is one of those where I'm going to lay this out here right now. You know, with Michigan, Ohio State, and Washington on the horizon, coming off your in-state rivalry week, I see this as a strangely tough game. We all know what has happened when UNI has gone to Iowa City in some of the years in the past. Actually, didn't UNI beat them one year? I think on a field goal. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, that's a sleeper game. I feel like that could be one that trips them up, kind of like UNI likes to do to Iowa State. All right, so we're going to count that as a win.
I'm going to count that as a win, but I think
okay.
close.
So yep, 3-0. And then they got to go to Ann Arbor and they got to take on Michigan, who Michigan's got their $7 million quarterback up there and a new coach, but they've got Utah's old coach. I think he's going to get him. I don't know if he's going to have him shaped up, but I mean, Michigan wasn't terrible last year.
No.
They just had Indiana and Ohio State and everybody else in the same conference. But I think since there's so many questions about it, I think they lose this game.
Okay. I've got them as a loss as well.
Okay. Now, the news doesn't get any better because the Ohio State Buckeyes come to town in Iowa City, the following week. And just like you told me last night, I said, Ohio State lost a lot of guys at the draft. And you're like, yeah, well, next man up. That's all. And it's weird because like sometimes I forget that not every school is like ours.
Yeah. Well, and if they don't have someone, they can go and pay someone to come in from a good school.
It took me back to remember when they were down to their third string quarterback and he won them the national championship?
Yeah.
She's insane. I think Ohio's, I did tell you this could be an upset game because it is in Iowa City. Nobody really knows what Ohio State's going to look like just yet, but it's Ohio State. I think that they get them in Iowa City.
I'm going to say Iowa's winning.
All right. I like it. Yeah, I mean, it's going to be probably one of the better defenses like they are every year in the Big Ten versus one of the better offenses. And it's going to come down to whoever kicks a field goal at the end of the game. Now, there's a lot of pessimism around this following game as Iowa is going out to Washington. This is where I'm actually going to be positive.
Okay.
I know there's this whole thought of like a lot of people have this whole once you travel 2 time zones, it makes it a lot harder to win. I think they go out there and they get it done.
Okay. So got a W for Washington. I'm going with a W as well.
So, you're what at what 5-1 right now? I think
Yes,
we're both
five
at
and
five
one,
and one.
and you're at 4-2.
4-2. God, I thought you were going to be more positive on Iowa. I
How could I
actually
be less positive? Like they've got one loss.
no, it's I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I thought I was going to be. I'm sorry. I misworded that. I thought I was going to be the more positive one on
Oh,
Iowa. You were going to be the more pessimistic. But now this is where Iowa fans that do listen, that we know that listen to this, are going to get pissy. I think they're going to lose the next week because they've got to go up to good old Minneapolis, St. Paul, and take on the Gophers. And we all know what we've been hearing the last 3 years.
row the boat.
No, not well, that too, but I mean, they whooped Minnesota's ass last year. But no, we've been hearing that was a fair catch, or that wasn't a fair catch. But I think, coming off that stretch, dude, I mean, look at the emotion of this in state rival. UNI, the FCS school that is, if you play them, you better come with your freaking guns loaded. And then you got to go to Ann Arbor. You got Ohio State coming to town. Then you got to go out and play in Washington, which is actually one of the tougher environments, I think, in the Big Ten. And I think that they're going to be sleeping or fucking just flat out worn out when Minnesota rolled around. And Minnesota capitalizes on Iowa every single fucking time they're
Oh
in
yeah,
that situation.
I've got it as a L for them.
Yep. Then they're going up to, I'm sorry, Wisconsin's coming to Iowa City the following week with good old Abu Sama on the roster. Actually, a couple other guys from Iowa State, but I think Iowa wins that one because Wisconsin's been just a fucking train wreck.
I've got Wisconsin as a win as well.
Iowa winning or Wisconsin winning?
Iowa winning.
Iowa winning. Yes, so I think Iowa wins that one. Northwestern, I'm going to just say I think Iowa's going to win that, but for some reason Northwestern likes to somehow finish with a below 500 record, but knock off all the good teams in the conference.
I'm going to say Northwestern wins,
It's
giving
in
Iowa the
Chicago,
L.
so yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. 'Cause shit, they almost beat, it wasn't Indiana last year. It was like Michigan or Ohio State, one of the two. But then, okay, so then they got the Boilermakers coming to town. Boilermakers, you want to talk about a team that nobody gives a shit about.
When does basketball season start?
Exactly. Like, I think they've all but wanted to get rid of the football program. Purdue comes to town. That's going to be a win. They got to go to Champaign and play Illinois.
So I got Purdue beating them.
What? With who on their roster? I don't even know.
It's a gut feeling. It's a way too early prediction.
Purdue reminds me of the team that they're putting out open invites on campus. They're like, please come to open tryouts.
This could be their time to shine.
And then they got Illinois, which I think they can win that one.
I've got it as a loss.
Okay, man, tides have turned. And then they got Nebraska coming to Iowa City. I would, for the Husker fans that we have that listen to the show, I would love to say this is the year. Like, you guys are going to do it. But you got, TJ Lateef did well last year, for Nebraska after Mahomes Jr. left. But if he's the guy you're relying on, I just don't know if you're going to have enough to get over an Iowa defense. Just, it's, like I said, way too early predictions. I think Iowa's going to get him again.
Okay, I'm saying it's the year.
Okay,
I'm
good
saying
God,
Nebraska wins.
The script really flipped. So what did I end up with?
You were 9-3.
Okay, that's about right.
And I'm 6-6.
Holy shit! So you think they're going to start off hot? Knock maybe play some teams tough they weren't expecting them to, and then they're gonna shit the bed against all the lower tier teams at the second half of the season.
I can't wait till they're 5-1 and all the Iowa fans are chirping, and then they just lose every game after it. It's gonna be wonderful.
You mean like we do every year?
Yes.
Not every year, but it's not something that is a far shot for Iowa State. All right, let's go down the interstate and across the Missouri River to good old Lincoln, Nebraska, where the Ohio Bobcats are coming to Lincoln. That will be a win.
Oh,
thankfully,
yeah.
they're playing them in Lincoln. They're not going to Athens because we all know what happens when that happens. And then they got to play, staying with the state of Ohio. They should have just had these two teams travel over together. Bowling Green also comes to Lincoln the following week. Again, I think we've seen Nebraska fuck around and win a lot of these games by 2 or 3 scores in the past where they should have blown them out, but I think they win that one.
Agree.
And then they got North Dakota coming to town. Was it North Dakota that almost beat them? I think some of them in the last
the Jackrabbits.
No, that's South Dakota State.
Oh, okay.
So yeah. Yeah, North Dakota, they are what, the Eagles now, or they used to be the Fighting Sioux, and
Okay.
they can't do that anymore. So they should good strong start of starting 3-0, and then they got Michigan State coming to town. Sorry, they go to Michigan State. Michigan State was kind of shit last year. Again, it's just so hard to predict because you don't this is not the same team from last year, and they're all different players on all three of these teams. Yeah, I mean, I'm just going to say they can Nebraska can start out 5-0.
Yeah.
They can beat Michigan State. Maryland has been consistently pretty rough. And last year they had to go. I think they had to go out to Maryland. Maryland comes to Lincoln this year. I think they get them. I think Nebraska could start 5-0.
So
And
I've got
then
you 5-0 going
okay.
into the Indiana game.
What about you? How you sitting on this?
I've got them at 5-0 going into the Indiana game as well.
All right. And Indiana has good old Hoover from down here at TCU at quarterback, which I set expectations with, our former peer that is an Indiana alumni. And I said, you guys need to reset your expectations going into this season. Josh Hoover is not Fernando Mendoza. In one game, he's going to be the best quarterback in the conference. And the next game, you're going to wonder how the hell he even got to play D1.
We'll see how good of a coach Signielli is.
Right. So I think Indiana will probably, who knows, they will win that, and then Nebraska has to go out to good old Eugene. Are you predicting Indiana to win that one, you said?
Yeah.
Okay. And then they got to go out to Eugene, which is just that's just a tough place to go. I'm going to say Oregon gets them.
Same.
Even though it seemed like there was a guy from Oregon getting drafted in every round of the draft this year. Washington comes to Nebraska. Due to the fact that that's not out in Washington, I'm going to say Nebraska beats them.
Okay. I'm saying Washington wins.
Okay.
That's our first split.
Well, the next one's going to be a split too, because Nebraska also has to go to Champaign. Now, where Iowa does not have a lot of mental fuckery with the Illini, Nebraska seems to something about those fucking orange and blue uniforms that come out on the field. Nebraska can have a
Just
way
terrifies
better
them.
team. Yeah, and they just, I don't know. I've seen a couple different times where they just had a far superior team, and Illinois did not beat them. Nebraska lost the game. I'm going to say that's a loss.
I am too.
And then they get to go to
Jersey.
East Rutherford, New Jersey, the glorious state of New Jersey, to play Rutgers, and they will win that one.
I got them as a win as well.
And then the Ohio State Buckeyes. Boy, Ohio State gets to travel to both Lincoln and Iowa City.
And they're so lucky. They get to go to like God's country for
I know, right?
like lucky them.
Shit. Ohio's so depressing. Yeah, so they get to come to Lincoln, Nebraska, and as much as Nebraska fans would love to hear me say or hear you say, we think that Nebraska can pull off the upset, Ohio State isn't questioning who's on their roster right now. I can tell you that much.
No, no, they're building the roster for next year.
Yeah. They've already got their starting lineup, I bet. I think Ohio State's gonna walk through that game, and then Nebraska has to go to Iowa City, and then as I already said, I think they're gonna lose. Or you think this is the year?
I think they're gonna win, yeah.
All right, so what's that put us at as far as win-loss?
I've got Nebraska at 6-6, and you
9-3?
7-5.
7-5, okay. That's realistic. I didn't even look up what their what their over-under is on their seasons. I know Iowa State's was 5.5. I think.
Okay.
Anywho, but what the fuck does Vegas know right now, right? They have
Not
a
as
blank.
much as me, obviously.
If they ask for the roster, they get a blank sheet, right? All right, so Iowa State playing good old SEMO again. I went up there and watched them play Southeast Missouri.
Are they playing in
No, it's in Ames.
Oh, is it? Okay.
Yeah, it's in Ames. And Southeast, it was funny because I remember looking up where they were.
Cape Girardeau?
It's some weird, and I'm not talking shit about Southeast Missouri.
It's not hard to do.
I remember when I heard where they were from, I'm like, yeah, Cape Girardeau.
Yeah.
And I think when they played Iowa State last time, I want to say it was their first year in FCS or something. I can't remember.
Maybe.
I was listening to a show that was like, I think it was Cyclone Fanatic, and most of they didn't know who any of the guys on the roster were. Or like I said, there was not a name that they looked at. They're like, okay, this is a guy we got to worry about. And so it could be different this year. We don't know who the hell's on our roster, but I think Iowa State wins that game. And then
Same. I
Am I?
got them winning it. And then
Okay.
Iowa.
Yep. And then Iowa, which I'm saying is an L.
Yep.
And then we Wait, am I?
Yeah, Bowling Green.
Did these guys get group rates on traveling to Iowa and Nebraska? Because it seems like Iowa and Nebraska play a lot of like we're playing common opponents. They all
Maybe
get in a
they're like
hotel together.
maybe they're like trying to like introduce a railway, and this is like the big push by Amtrak.
Could be like they're trying to maximize their NIL, and they're like, we have to spend less on travel. We're we're bussing up with Bowling Green. Bowling Green comes to town. This is one of those where I know a lot of fans are pissed off about it because we actually have to go to Bowling Green. That's the agreement in this situation. And Bowling Green, this is one of those I'm kind of scared of. Hopefully, if they lose to Iowa, the roster, the team's pissed off and comes out and smacks them around. But this is also one of those fucking MAC schools that just love to shit on Iowa State's season, and they're pretty similar to that Ohio team. But I'm gonna say they win. I think it's gonna be one of those where everybody walks away from it going, "Holy shit! Didn't expect it to be that close."
Same feeling. They're going to get the win, but it's not going to be a decisive win.
Yep. And then Utah comes to town, our favorite Big 12 opponent, every fan base loves. Most arrogant fan base in the world for a team that just has achieved very little. But I think we lose.
Oh, I've got them as a win.
I think Utah's bringing back they're bringing back some key players. So I don't know. I would have to, before I would have faith in us beating Utah, I would have to see how good our defensive secondary is because they are going to be able to pass. And then West Virginia comes to town. I'm just going to say I hope that's a win. I love it when West Virginia comes to town because their fans are a ton of fun. So either way, it's a win.
I've got that as a win as well.
Then they are going to go to Provo and probably, in my opinion, going to do everything they can just to keep it within 2 scores. BYU, strangely, is returning a lot of guys, some really good players. And then we got to go to Tucson. Now, the main weapons that Arizona had when they came to the greatest and worst night of Iowa State's football season last year, all those guys are gone, I believe. I was just thinking, their quarterback, Noah Fafita.
I think he's gone.
No, he was a junior. Maybe he's coming back. Well, either way, I don't think we win in Tucson.
I'm going off pure talent, and I'm going with Arizona. Like, that's a loss.
Yep. And then our friends from Stillwater make the trek up to Ames, and they're bringing the entire UNT roster, which somehow went from 2-star and maybe at best 3-star players the year before to all being 5 and 4-star players now since they went into the transfer portal. But we've seen Oklahoma State when their team was way worse than this as far as talent, and they've beat us. So I mean, shit, that was me and Jared that went to that game in Stillwater. But yeah, it was one of those where neither team wanted to score a touchdown. They stayed within the 20s the entire fucking time, and it was like, well, good God, somebody scored. both fan bases were pissed. But I feel like that's what this game's going to be. Who knows? At this point in the season, Oklahoma State could be the best team in the Big 12.
Yeah, could be.
There's a lot of people are riding high on them right now. I'm gonna say that's Jimmy Rogers' like game of the year where that toughness, that physicality steps up. And they're like, God damn, we thought it's, I hate to say this, but like 2011. Only not as good as that team, but yeah, maybe they're going to be riding high and they're going to come in and trip up in Ames. So I'll give them the win there.
I'm giving them the win as well.
Okay. And then Iowa State has to go down to good old Waco, your favorite place. Hopefully your brother's there in the stands.
Worst place in the world.
I don't know. There's people saying, well, Baylor's probably going to be a decent, like, I don't know why people think, I've just heard 2 or 3 different analysts say they think Baylor's going to be, a good enough team to beat Iowa State. But then there's the factor that you're moving. It's like Dave Aranda, basically his team quit on him last year. Like, the coach is still there. Like, I don't care if you bring in Ohio State's roster. Like, by that point in the season, I mean, I don't know. I think Iowa State wins in Waco.
So I think they win. And the reason they win is because it's later in the season.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not going to be 110 degrees sitting in that blazing sun while they're like in the shade. Cheating bastards.
Yep. And then being later in the season, maybe they'll have gotten into a groove at that point if half our roster's not injured. So, yeah, could be a win. And then Cincinnati comes to town, a Cincinnati team that lost Sorsby, lost one of their running backs that ran through our freaking defense like freaking shit through a screen, like diarrhea through a screen, or however they say it. That one freaking football coach said it. But yeah, And one of their best receivers is also now playing for the Kansas City Chiefs as of this weekend. And strangely, their big ass defensive lineman last year, the one that he was injured the week before Iowa State played them, and everybody was saying, "God, we hope he can't play. We hope he can't play." And then he played, and he basically takes up two spots in the defensive line. He did not get drafted.
Really?
Uh-huh.
Huh.
Like I said, I'm drawing a blank on his fucking name right now. This is just a terrible day for my memory. But anywho, yeah, I think they win that game because I almost feel like Cincinnati might be in a tougher spot than Iowa State right now. All of their good players either went to the draft or transferred. So, and then there's UCF down in Orlando.
So I got Cincy as a win.
Okay.
UCF, I've got as a win.
Thank you for checking me too. I was just rolling and not even asking you who you were picking. Asshole. Good God.
Oh no, I was letting you cook.
Yeah, they got to go down to the bounce house. You think they're going to beat Scott Frost and the crew.
Yep. By that time in the season, he'll probably have some bartender knocked up, and he'll have a lot on his mind.
It's true. He'll
probably need to cut that out.
He'll have frequent 5 o'clock shadow from some rough nights, But yeah, I think they lose in the bounce house.
Okay.
I think they lose at UCF. And then we have Farmageddon in Ames, and Kansas State still at least has their quarterback, Avery. He's still there. And they've got, they got a new coach. Like, wait, no. Yeah, they get a new coach this year? No.
No, I don't think so. I think that was their men's basketball team.
No. Fucking dude from Texas A&M. Didn't he take the K-State job that used to play football for him? You're like, what the fuck are you guys? Coach Colin Klein. Yeah, he was the offensive coordinator as of December 2025. Yeah, so new coach. It's crazy because it's been so long that since we've been talking about these games and these other schools. I'm like forgetting some of these players and like some of their coaches' names. That's always a dogfight. I think since the names, I'm going to give them the edge. Say they win.
Iowa State.
Yep.
Okay. I've got them beating Kansas State as well.
Avery Johnson is just somehow that weird quarterback who it's like a degenerative talent, or he's like a degenerating disease with his talent level. Freshman year, high expectations, comes in, starts out his career and just really sets the bar high and has just gotten gradually worse every year. So I think they win. What did that put me at?
So that puts you at 6-6. So you hit the over.
That's pretty much.
I blow the over out of the water. I got them at 9-3.
Oh, if they do that, I will
12 championship game, baby.
I will be ecstatic. I don't know.
Big 12 championship game.
I don't know if I'd get him in. It'd be probably one of those they get the second spot on a tiebreaker if they get in. But yeah, I think it's gonna be Texas Tech and fucking BYU again.
Championship game.
It's gonna be the Mormons versus the Oil Men in in Arlington, I think.
So we'll have to keep track of that all season.
Okay. Yep.
And then we need to think of something the winner gets.
Yeah. I was thinking about that too. Either that or something the loser has to do.
When I win it, I should make you wear like a t-shirt with my face on it. And on the back, it says like, this is my best friend in the whole world. And you have to wear it like to the gym and everywhere for
you have to wear it everywhere you go throughout the entire day.
And I'm going to be with you.
Okay. We can do that.
Okay.
We'll get creative with it. All right. So that's talking the foosball. It'll be interesting to see how accurate we are. I feel like 6-6 is pretty realistic. Anyways, you said you had some other fun stuff you wanted to do.
Yeah. So like, just kind of look around Big 12 sports. Like obviously saw the Iowa State women's winning the Big 12 title in women's golf. But then I saw this school that I would not even think would be in the Big 12 won the women's lacrosse. So I was like, okay, like you ran me through the wrestling and who's in the Big 12. And so I'm going to run you through who's in Big 12 lacrosse.
So, and this is funny because you mentioned I didn't expand on it when you told me you gave me a high level hint that you were going to do this earlier, and I started thinking earlier as we were recording here. I'm like, if it's like the wrestling, God knows who it could be, especially with lacrosse. I don't know who fucking plays lacrosse. I didn't know Iowa State played lacrosse.
They don't.
Oh wait,
this was looking at Big 12. So there are six schools in the Big 12 women's lacrosse.
I know
3 of those schools are from the actual Big 12 currently. Or I'm sorry. Yeah, 3. Okay.
So wait, there's 6 Big 12. The conference is 6 teams.
6 teams. 3 are in the Big 12, like when you think of football.
Yep.
or basketball.
And I'm gonna bet that there's one team that used to be in the Big 12 that is also
Nope.
in there. No? Okay, that one's
One
out.
one is in the SEC, and two are in conferences. I don't even fucking know what conference they're in.
Oh god, how many
Yeah,
okay, so the 3 teams I'm betting have women's lacrosse, I'm gonna say, that are currently in the conference in, like, other sports. TCU. No? They have a men's lacrosse team.
no
Okay.
women's.
Cincinnati?
Cincinnati does.
Okay. Since they're on the East Coast, does West Virginia have a women's lacrosse team?
Nope.
No. Okay.
The rest are all west of
Oh,
us.
they're all West.
Of us.
Oh, okay. One of BYU or Utah does. No. Jesus, I'm running out of teams already.
Think of
Arizona
not
State.
Arizona.
Arizona
Arizona
State.
State.
That is not a school I would have predicted would have it.
I
And
kind
then
of want to go to an Arizona State women's lacrosse game, by the way.
it's a great place to go, man. Um, oh God, who would be the other team? It's Colorado.
You're right. Yeah, Colorado. So
Interesting.
those are the three from the Big 12.
Legacy. Okay. And
Then
one's
the
in
next one, SEC.
SEC. Okay. When they were never in the Big 12.
Never ever.
Okay. Arkansas?
Nope.
It's got to be somebody that would fit. Because I mean, it's like you look at the conference and like they're actually closer to some. Okay. Ole Miss, LSU,
Nope. Florida.
Florida.
Florida. And they won
Huh.
it. They had a 5-0 record.
Interesting. Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's what
And
drew my
then-
attention. I'm like, Florida in the Big 12?
And then we got these 2 oddballs that are out there. You don't even know what conference they're in.
West Coast. Like
West Coast. Okay, so San Diego
all in
State.
California. Yep. San Diego State.
Okay. And then I'm going to say San Jose State. UC Irvine?
Nope. But you got the UC right.
Okay, so it's going to be UC Davis.
You got them. Those
Okay.
are the 6 schools that are in the Big 12 women's lacrosse.
Glad to know they can maintain a women's lacrosse team because I think they just got rid of their men's wrestling program this year.
Really? Okay.
UC Davis. It was, but yeah. Okay. I did not even know. Well, I guess I didn't know that the Big 12 had a conference in lacrosse.
I had zero idea before it popped onto my social media feed.
I mean, I knew the guy who coached the men's lacrosse team at TCU, but he even said they had to get it's basically an accreditation. You have to finish so well for like 2 or 3 years in a row before you can be sanctioned by Division 1. So you're a club team, but you go around and you play all the best teams. Like they're playing Texas and they're playing Duke and they're playing whoever. I never did find out if they actually got sanctioned or not, but
You think if they did, then they would be in the conference.
no shit, right?
So maybe they didn't.
All right. Well, we'll hold off. I was gonna pop quiz you on some names again, but I think we've gone over already on length, so we don't want to.
We laid some gold down with the 2 early picks, the draft coverage.
I need to go find my freaking brain. I'm gonna go to the gym and sweat it out until my memory comes back.
Okay. That always
But
seems to work.
yeah, but anywho, no, this was a great rundown. I'm glad we got to talk about just kind of a rundown of the spring games. I'm glad we got to go through our predictions as well. So we'll see if us 2 geniuses are anywhere close.
I can't wait to see you just walking around in the t-shirt with my big beautiful face on it. Yeah. Ooh, I might put like some little like arms on it that does the wink and the gun.
You know what? I'll be more than happy because if Iowa State finishes 9-3, dude, trust me, I will be riding on high. But well, I know that the storms are rolling through. I guess a big ass wave like just rolled through the state of Iowa over the last week, and brought some shit ass weather up there. Storms rolling through, which is prime entertainment. So it was funny. I was listening to a podcast on Iowa Everywhere, and these 2 guys are not 2 guys, but the 2 guys on this, which are Andy Fales and it's Murph and Andy. Anyways, they both work at the news station in Des Moines. And what was funny was to hear it from their side. Apparently the first night of the draft, there was a tornado touched down outside of Des Moines. Yeah, so they interrupt whatever's on TV, right? Andy and Murph are both like these guys. I don't know how old they are. I'm gonna guess at least in their mid 50s, maybe upper 50s. So they're a generation even before us to hear they probably said, and when the phones start ringing, when you interrupt whatever they're watching on TV. I was expecting them to say, and this is just took me back to like, oh yeah, that's Iowa. I was expecting them to say people were missing the draft because they took over the screen. Nope. The prime time that they get the most phone calls is when they interrupt Jeopardy. And he said people call in, and he said and Murphy even says like people will be they'll live in neighboring towns like outside of Des Moines, maybe 20, 30. You know what it was like. We had the Omaha News. And we live 40, 50 miles away. Said, and I never once, and my parents didn't either, would have thought of calling the TV station and yelling at them because, well, we live near Mondamon. There's no tornadoes here. Why are you butting in on my TV? Yet they were getting phone calls from people that were in these towns that are like outside of Des Moines. They're like, why are you interrupting my night? There's no bad weather down here.
Jeez.
It was so good to hear them. They both just started grumping about it. And I'm like, this is hilarious. Jeopardy. Anywho, with that, the storms are rolling through. And get yourself some good old cold bush lights to sit in the driveway and enjoy.
Be safe.
Yeah, thank you all for listening again. I'll have more energy on the next episode, I promise. And we look forward to talking to you then. See y'all later.
All right, see y'all.